Hey folks, welcome to Unqualified, the fantasy football podcast that's been eating pizza with mountains of pepperoni on it since 2017. I'm your producer, Rob Diesendorf, here with Sean Brady and Scott Johnson, two fantasy football rivals that have been sabotaging each other for years, but they decided to come together to help you win your league and make your friends look like idiots. Do we all remember the giant pepperoni pizza of 2019?
How could I forget?
Yeah, I don't think we can ever forget. It's seared in our brains. Also, that place just reeked of like pizza and meat, and my clothes stunk.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That whole night I was thinking about that and your mountain of pepperoni on your little dab of pizza.
Yeah, quick context for the UQDs out there. We had a pod night out last week. Me and girlfriend of the pod, Katie Lay, took a trip to NYC. We were able to link up with the fellow UQ members, and we went out, had a good time, and you have to end an NYC night with some nice, authentic NYC pizza.
Mm-hmm.
Can't not.
And this slice of pizza that Rob got, first off, we saw this, I'm trying to think, what's another word for a pack? Like a
school?
A school of very inebriated young girls, not girls, young women, came into the pizza place. One of them handed Rob his order when it was out of the oven, and the look on her face, she picked up the little like tray with Rob's 2 pieces of pizza on it, and the look when she looked at it, I've never seen that look. She was shocked.
We were not participating in the same reality.
No,
that's what I'll say.
Not at all. She was shocked by the amount of pepperoni, and she turned around and saw Rob just ready, mouth watering, ready to eat all that delicious Italian sausage on pizza.
Ready to pounce.
There's pepperoni pizza, and then there's pepperoni with some bread underneath it. I swear to God, they must have used actually 2 full sleeves of pepperoni on this one slice. That's how much pepperoni was.
Sleeves of pepperoni,
and a whole gallon of olive oil too.
I would consider it a lethal amount of pepperoni.
I'm just picturing. Okay? Oh God, I'm just picturing a sleeve of pepperoni, like an Oreo cookie sleeve,
like Lunchables.
Oh, God.
I fell asleep in my Uber on the way home, so I think that was partially due to pepperoni overdose. That girl was not prepared to see what she saw.
No.
And I feel bad for anybody that had to see me eat that piece of pizza. Yeah.
You devoured that. Did you have 2? You had 2 slices?
I was 1, and then there was a second slice of something else, but then I think it was just tossed.
Not the same thing. Oh, no.
I left.
We went outside while you were in the bathroom, and then they threw it out.
Yeah.
That was rude.
Assholes.
Yeah,
that is honestly
that place.
That's actually a crime. That's actually a crime.
Yeah, you don't do that. Like,
I don't have much more to say on it. It's going to be upsetting for me. So let's just get into the pod.
Let's leave it at that. We're looking into the last week now. The final weekend of drafts is upcoming. You may have already drafted, so that's why we're going to kind of go off the beaten path a little bit from all of our draft prep and start to use the format that we're going to kind of gravitate towards during the year. And we're going to start, like we will every pod, with the biggest storylines from the week. Who went off? Who got hurt? And we're looking at this a little bit differently because the season hasn't started yet. So who went off, Scott, in this week? And we're recording this on August 20th. So some people went off, and not as far as like stats go.
Yeah. Well, 2 of the biggest drama queens, especially this offseason, Ezekiel Elliott and Antonio Brown, pretty much went off in their situations. So we'll talk about Jerry Jones and Zeke. They're exchanging some words in camp. Changing some hurtful words.
Putting it nicely.
Jerry Jones is saying things like, well, we don't need Ezekiel Elliott. We don't need Zeke to get to the Super Bowl. He said, she said. Zeke is saying they do. I think Jerry Jones is losing his mind slowly.
Yeah, I think he is too. He literally said Zeke who, and people took that as a shot. He might have legitimately forgotten who
He's like,
Zeke
no,
is, so.
really, Zeke who? Like, no, tell me. I don't know who that is. And then Antonio Brown, the famous or infamous Antonio Brown, who pretty shockingly was hated by his Steeler teammates last year, looking like that's pretty par for the course here on the Raiders now.
Yeah, I mean, this is not the usual context when we talk about who went off, but the Raiders brass, Mike Mayock, their GM, seems like John Gruden's going this way too, went off on AB saying like it's time for him to be all in or all out. Hopefully he decides to be all in because he's really fun to watch play, but he's just a different animal when it comes to his personality, and you never know what you're going to get from him. So that's something to keep an eye on. I don't feel great about drafting him at this point. Hopefully that gets squared away. And then Jerry Jones, he may be losing his mind, but they went off the Cowboys by paying Jalen Smith before they paid Zeke, Dak, or Amari Cooper. And that may seem crazy, but I think it's a wise move. I think Jalen Smith is the one that they needed to lock down because
100%.
The way forward with that team is that defense, because they've built that defense over the past few years, and it is frightening. So that's the way you got to go, I think. I think if Zeke's going to cause problems every year, 2 years out from his contract expiring, it's not the guy you want to really invest long term in. So I do hope that Zeke is in camp. I hope that he gets his contract, all that. But I think them paying Jalen Smith, the Cowboys going off, nice job. Even if Jerry Jones is kind of stumbling into that.
Yeah, and the strength of their defense is they're shifty and fast and quick twitch linebackers. So, yeah, Zeke, of course, that's what makes a team go. But like this is as if someone is asking for a raise at their job, and they're not scheduled to make a potential raise for another year or two, and then they just don't show up to work for weeks.
Good point.
I mean, it's not like the same exact thing, but like you can kind of look at it that way. Then who got hurt? Biggest storyline: Andrew Luck again. Hurt?
Oh God!
Again?
Yeah, it's a similar situation to 2 years ago where the Colts are being very mum about it.
Mm-hmm.
Just throwing that word out into the ether today, mum.
Oh, good words there. Ether.
There's a mysterious calf injury that's been bugging him and keeping him out of full practices. I see this as something where I think he's probably going to play at the end of the day. I don't think it's something that keeps him out, but it's not looking great. Like, I don't feel as good taking him as my quarterback in the range of Deshaun Watson anymore. I think he's going to slip down draft boards, and rightfully so, because those question marks are probably going to follow him throughout his career if he continues to have mysterious injuries like this.
Yeah, don't put that in the ether. Cam, on the other hand, is looking pretty healthy. So Christian McCaffrey, rock solid, running back one now. Even if Cam is still coming into his own, if he's 90-95% of his shoulder strength, he's going to have a lot of dump-off passes to CMC. So, and the Panthers wide receivers, DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel, potentially will have more value because we didn't know how well Cam would respond to the offseason and some injuries before. So,
all right, it's time to introduce some segments that we hope will be big hits for the UQDs out there, recurring segments that we hope to bring back. Let us know what you think. Get active in those channels. But we're going to start with our quote-unquote turn down the music, hashtag canceled player of the week. This one comes courtesy of UQD out there, Andrew Mormon, who talked about how annoying it is that he went on a bachelor party a couple of weeks ago, and somehow, I don't know if it was in an Airbnb or somewhere they rented, the old people below were pounding on the ceiling with the brooms.
Oh my God!
Telling him to turn the music down. No, he was just speaking hypothetically.
Oh
but
shit, that would have been
that quote unquote turn down the music, hashtag canceled player of the week for this week 0, if you will, Kenyon Drake.
Yeah,
I'm not going to explain this because I think it is almost funnier without explaining it. We're not big Kenyon Drake guys. When we get to our shit list later, you're going to see that he's on there. He's canceled. Sorry, Kenyon.
Hashtag canceled. Bye.
And
unfortunately, I just picked him in the last mock draft.
You did.
Well, it's too bad. He's canceled. You got to cut him.
Okay.
It's too damn bad.
Throughout the season, we'll offer much more explanation on that segment. For now, we're just going to keep it moving to our fantasy hangover. And this is a little different because we haven't actually picked our teams yet, so it's too early for us to have fantasy hangovers. But I'm going to think about one nightmare scenario from my draft, one of my drafts last year, where I picked someone you don't actually want on your team at all, in one of the first 5 rounds when I took LaShawn McCoy in round 3. And this is not even a hangover comparison. This is the immediate, I should not have taken that shot feeling. You know it all too well. You slug that thing down, and it's just not sitting right. Something's up in the lower intestine.
You need some Tums. Did you have to say lower intestine?
It's been a while since I've been in that place, so it's almost like I'm like scared to even think about it because it's one of those things I just don't even want to cross my mind.
It's like Rob with his mound of pepperoni pizza.
Exactly.
Of pepperoni.
Exactly.
You get 3/4 of the way through, and then you realize, oh no,
Oh no! Oh, not again!
oh no, that's happening.
Oh my God! No!
All right, so once again, that fantasy hangover, we'll try to bring that week in and week out. Hopefully we don't have too many of our own, but we'd like to hear some of yours, some of your fantasy hangovers out there from the UQD, so we can throw that on the pod and tell a nice story about it. One of our hangovers from times past. Or times present, or maybe times future, depending on how things go. Now, our last recurring segment for this part is the beauty sleepers, and there's been decidedly not enough actual planning that went into this. Basically, we're going to pick some sleepers, one at each position, plus a bonus, and one way or another, there's going to be a winner at the end of the year. So, I don't know the scoring system yet. We're going to kind of make it up on the fly. Let's start with our beauty sleeper quarterbacks. These are our guys that we're riding for in 2019. My beauty sleeper quarterback, I'll kick things off, is Lamar Jackson, who's going way too late. I think he's a stud. I think he's the best running quarterback since Mike Vick, maybe better than Mike Vick. We have yet to see. Lamar Jackson, my beauty sleeper quarterback.
Yeah, going like 125th on average in ESPN, which is way too late. I'm going to go Sam Darnold, another second-year quarterback here, our precious beloved Jets. But I'm anticipating a second-year breakout in the form of Jared Goff, his second year, Mitch Trubisky, new offensive scheme, offensive coordinator, better weapons, better running game. Should bode well. Rob, who do you got for your beauty sleeper quarterback?
Well, I know that I'm biased, but I've decided to go with the Browns wide receivers.
Do tell.
Because I love Odell Beckham, and I know he's got an arm.
He's got a cannon.
And I miss him. And I think that he's going to come out of nowhere, and they're going to put him in. He's going to throw some touchdowns. That's it.
Jarvis Landry is on there too, and he is a cannon.
There's my high level analysis.
You're putting that in the ether.
How funny would it be, Scott, if like Antonio Callaway is the one that throws a touchdown, and since he put Browns wide receivers, he gets credit for it. I'm going to say we don't have the scoring system, but if the Browns throw 2 wide receiver touchdowns, you win the beauty sleepers competition
easily,
for 2019.
If this is last year, Odell wasn't on the Browns, but he would have won because Odell did throw a touchdown, and Jarvis Landry did throw a touchdown also.
You're on. I accept.
All right, let's look at our beauty sleeper running backs. I just love Austin Eckler on the Chargers. A lot of people are rightfully so worried about Melvin Gordon, yet Austin Eckler has not risen on draft boards. So that's just an inconsistency that I don't think makes sense. He's a guy I'm trying to own on every team. He's a stud. Like he's a per touch, very efficient player. As long as he stays healthy, and if Gordon continues to hold out, like he's a guy that is going to win some people some leagues.
I was gonna put Justin Jackson as the other half of that because they're both like Justin Jackson's barely getting drafted, but I'd imagine if Melvin Gordon sits out, they're going to split half and half, and that's what the coaching staff actually came out and said. As we're recording this August 20th, I think it came out that week. So as this is released, it's last week, but I'm picking Kalen Ballage. Talked about him at nauseum. Yeah, I put it in the ether this offseason a lot, so Kalen Ballage is my guy. Rob, what do you got?
I'm going with Matt Breida, and I couldn't tell you why. I think it's mostly because I like his name.
People are sleeping on him, I think. That's probably why.
You have picked him in like every single mock, too.
There's just something about him. I don't know what it is. Can you put words to this, Sean?
He was good last year. He's on a team that's probably going to be better. And, yeah, he's got a great name.
Simple as that. Next
All right, let's look
question.
at the pass. We're going to lump the pass catchers together to kind of speed this up a little bit. Wide receiver, Anthony Miller. Tight end, Mark Andrews. I like both these guys. These are my guys. I don't know why. I can't put my finger on it. Kind of like how Rob can't put his finger on Matt Breida. Although it'd be weird if you put your finger on him. So those two guys, I think, are my beauty sleepers at the pass catcher position for 2019. What about you, Scott?
I got Curtis Samuel. Can't talk about him any more than I already have. And Austin Hooper on the Falcons. Kind of getting overlooked here and was steadily a top 12 tight end last year, so almost a starter.
I'm going with Deshaun Hamilton. He's 22% owned and projected to be the number 60 wide receiver ahead of Geronimo Allison.
Wow.
Some great names in that range,
Yeah.
too. Deshaun, Geronimo.
Yeah,
Yep.
seriously.
Love that.
Good research there.
22% owned. That's inside intel.
What about tight end?
You also picked him in every mock draft, too.
It's very true.
David Njoku, because
Mock draft.
everybody thinks he's going to be a joke, and I'd like to be on the contraire.
I have a quick question. If David Njoku throws a touchdown pass, but the Browns wide receivers do not, what do we do here?
Well, that's still a huge plus for Rob's beauty sleepers, but technically he's not a Browns wide receiver, so it wouldn't count for that.
Okay, that's
Sorry,
fair.
Rob.
So they can only score points in their respective position.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right, let's do one bonus per guy here. My bonus guy is Ito Smith. I just think this guy is a pretty good player, and Devontae Freeman has not exactly been a model of health in the past. Great offense. So I think Ito Smith is flying under the radar this year. I think he's one of those premium handcuffs like Latavius Murray that nobody talks about. He's going to play regardless of Freeman's health, and if Freeman gets hurt, you're looking at a guy that's an instant high-end RB2.
Yeah, I like that. I got Devin Singletary. We talked about him last week on the mock draft 2.0.
yeah.
You mentioned a really good point about him being potentially the rookie year Alvin Kamara. Couple older guys in front of him on the depth chart, wide open in terms of who could take that job over. LaShawn McCoy, terrible last year. Frank Gore, 36, but I respect the hell out of him. But Devin Singletary could be like a dart throw, like last round pick, and could take off.
And my bonus man is Bob Wiley.
Is he working right now? Is he on a team? Is he connected with a team?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he's working or not. Just a beautiful man.
I feel gypped that we didn't see him this offseason.
Yeah, I miss him so much. So,
he's still the offensive line. Oh, wait. Oh, wait, I thought he was on the Raiders right now. I was like, get out of here. Why didn't they not run him? No, he's not working right now.
I just think that he's projected to score a lot of points in life.
oh, well, he always is. He's always scoring points in life. I hope the Jets pick him up so we can go see him in person. Oh,
That'd
my
be
God, that'd be amazing.
Imagine him in our new green.
It would be everyone like mobbing Le'Veon Bell, Sam Darnold, Jamal Adams, and then we're just like surrounding Bob Wiley, just us three.
Yeah, I would totally take him over Le'Veon.
Yeah, Jets, get on this. This is an
Hurry up.
outrage.
Liv Moss.
Okay, it's time to BTFD. Buy the dip. Buy the effing dip.
You idiot.
And this is probably going to be my favorite part of the podcast every week. Not only are we talking about the dip in terms of fantasy football, we're talking about the dip in terms of our favorite dips out there in the game today in 2019. So our dip of the week and the best vehicle for consumption this week is salsa.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm gonna throw it out into the ether that the best vehicle for consumption is the classic tortilla chip for salsa.
I disagree.
Wow.
It's the whole grain tortilla scoops. Whole grain.
Ooh, those are good. Those
am
are good.
on Team Scott right now.
Yeah, we never
My only
agree.
thing that I'll say,
Tostitos
Yes.
scoops.
my only thing that I'll say is that there is a serious issue with the shape of salsa containers and the shape of chips,
Why have we not figured that out?
and nobody's talking about it.
That's actually insane. Same
It's a
with
great point.
Nobody's talking about it.
Same with any
You get
jar.
halfway through a salsa container and you are screwed. You're not getting your hand in there.
I have a thought. I have a weird thought here. Can we, those jelly containers that are like squeeze bottles?
Mm-hmm.
Can we do that for salsa?
We can, but I feel like
I think you can, but I think
some
it's
chunks in
cursed.
Yeah, you do need some chunks
in there.
But like restaurant style salsa, which is by far and away the best salsa, better than chunky, I think, in my opinion.
Oh, wow. Yeah. We are disagreeing every corner here on the salsa corner.
More liquidy. I don't know. I know people like the chunks, but like if I want some veggies, I'll eat veggies. But that like could be in a squeeze bottle. There's not that many chunks.
Okay,
I think you can put it in a squeeze bottle, but I think it's extremely cursed.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's a great point. Actually, I put somewhere in here. I was talking about. All right, so real quick thoughts about salsa on my end. Right, I think it needs to be medium level spiciness or spicier. Definitely. Don't mess around with mild salsa. At that point, you're just eating tomatoes, and that's not really fun. It has to be tomato based for me. But if you get like that tomatillo, like the green salsa, that's also really effing good. And I think smoky salsa, like chipotle salsa, is also usually good. And my last thought 100%. Here, because I'm gonna kind of like roll over on the chip selection. I think you guys are on the right track there. I'm with you because I was gonna bring up a problem with the tortilla chip. But before we even get to that, if there's like a mango or peach or anything in there that's gonna balance out that spiciness, I will literally open the jar, sit there and scoop chip after chip until I'm scraping the last corner of the jar to get the last bit out, because that's just fair. Like you get that sweet and spicy combo that's just too good. And the last thing I was going to say, that chip selection is so important because you don't want that fallen comrade in there.
I will say that to your point about like sweet and spicy, Mrs. Renfro's salsa, not in a lot of places. Might be more of a Midwest thing. I had it in college. Some of the best like peach, mango, spicy salsa I've ever had in my life.
I don't know if I'm a fan of the sweet, but I am a fan of Chipotle.
Oh, yeah.
Sponsor us.
So as far as the chip goes, I was going to say like my classic, like regular, straight up Tostito, where it's like super processed but super salty and delicious, sturdy enough to hang out with all the chunky salsas. But then you get that, it breaks sometimes. You get that fallen comrade situation. So I think the scoops is a good call with that. So I'm going to cede that to you guys on the best vehicle for consumption for this week's Dip of the Week salsa. Now, the real question is how are we going to segue this to fantasy football? I would say fallen comrades, that fallen comrade situation that you want to avoid. Injuries. Normally, that fallen comrade in fantasy football would leave us scrambling for the backups. But I think now that it's preseason, we can kind of look at the guys that are hurt and maybe look at a little bit of an opportunity to buy the dip. Scott, who do you think you're looking to buy the dip on preseason here for 2019?
Yeah, so I took him in the mock draft last week. Andrew Luck. So obviously he has some injury concerns. He hasn't fully participated since April, which is one of the reports out of their camp, which doesn't sound good, but at the very least, it's not his shoulder like it was last year or 2 years ago. And I mean, he's got one of the best rosters around him and one of the best, head coaches, in my opinion, Frank Reich. So best offensive minded coaches, like underrated. So I think this team is going to go really far in the playoffs, and I think it starts with Luck, but it feels like his ADP is getting a little lowered because of the injury concern, which I get, but I'm still fine with taking him. He didn't run as much last year either, so like the ankle injury, it's not a shoulder injury.
It's interesting. I kind of like his value being suppressed so now he's in the range with Carson Wentz, guys like that, where I would definitely take a shot on Luck in that range. I thought Damian Williams' value would be suppressed. It seemed like he was going to be pushed down to like that like 4th, 5th round, which is probably where he should go based on him already being hurt, not being a proven guy, but he's still going way too early for me, so he's disqualified here. I would say my buy the dip guy, even though his value is all over the place these days, Josh Gordon, currently being drafted as wide receiver 41. And if you treat his situation like a normal run-of-the-mill actual injury, it's a no-brainer to take this guy in that range because when he's on the field, he's a starter on your fantasy team, and you're drafting him way later than that. So I think, I have a soft spot for this guy, but again, like, he was really good last year on the Patriots, and now they don't have Gronk. So if he can get his stuff together, this is a guy that, again, year after year, could win you your league at a value.
Yeah, and I think we said this last week. Tom Brady, 12 games last year of 250 yards. 11 of them were when Josh Gordon was out there. So it's no surprise that when Josh Gordon is out there, he stretches the field for Tom Brady, which Brady will really need with Gronk out. And he was a big play guy. He only had 3 or 4 touchdowns, I think, Josh Gordon, but you have to think with Gronk out, that'll regress back. And with N'Keal Harry on the other side, taking away another target. AJ Green, another guy, value getting extremely suppressed. He was going like round 2 or 3, and he'll be out for a couple games, but now he's going around wide receiver 29, like 58 range. So I don't mind that if you have 2 solid, like, stud wide receivers that you already drafted and 3 solid running backs and put one in your flex. AJ Green you could do worse with than the first guy off your bench.
And that's what Rob went with in Mock Draft 2.0 over there. Rob, what are your thoughts on AJ Green? Rob's a big AJ Green fan. If he was a dip, AJ what would he be? If AJ Green was a dip, what would he be? What do you think? If he was a salsa, what would he be?
Ooh.
Probably, well, he'd be green salsa first of all.
Yeah. Well, like jalapeno pepper in there.
He'd be like a jalapeno chipotle salsa.
Ooh,
that's a good one.
Like a little Christmas.
On the spicier side, but the smokiness smooths it out.
I like that. I kind of want to go get some salsa right now. Taco Bell.
What would Josh Gordon be? I think he'd be like a ghost pepper one, because like when he's out there,
he ghosts people.
Yeah, he's electric, but he's like never out there.
And he ghosts the Patriots like every other week. So it's perfect,
exactly.
Actually, wow, that's a great call. Salsa. I'm kind of happy we picked this as our first dip of the week because it's the most underrated dip. It really is. It's the universal dip. All right, this last segment of our Buy the Dip part of the podcast, we're going to look at one shrewd move, one specific strategy you could take week in and week out. This is one I've talked about pretty much every podcast for the past month. After you draft, unless you really, really like your defense or kicker, drop them for some extra bench space. Go pick up somebody that's really intriguing, and then worst case scenario, you have to cut them loose and pick up a kicker right before your week starts. The alternative is somebody like James Conner is on the waivers, and you hold on to your kicker or defense, and somebody else picks him up and wins the league.
Yep.
So go pick up guys like, obviously you have to draft Austin Eckler, but if a guy's in that kind of situation, that premium handcuff, and he's on waivers. Justin Jackson, go pick him up, because if Melvin Gordon continues to hold out, now all of a sudden you have a really good fantasy asset. You could cut your 14th round pick instead of your kicker at that point. So that's what you want to go with that shrewd move of week 0. I like calling this week 0, by the way.
I like that. We should have done that all offseason. I didn't even think about that. We should have done like week -7 when we started.
Nice. Next year. Next year we'll do.
Next year. The other thing I'll quickly add, I don't know if you said this, Kami Fairbairn, the kicker on the Houston Texans last year, was number 1 kicker, and he wasn't drafted on average.
Oh, absolutely. And the Bears defense is the same thing.
Yep. Exactly.
All right, this next segment is one that's near and dear to our heart, Scott.
Oh, yeah.
To all the guys we've hated before, the shit list. The official shit list. And we've talked about this. We've referenced this for now going on our 3rd year here. And as far as our friendship goes, this is probably like year 10 or 11 of the shit list.
Yep.
But we're going to make it official now. Guys that will not end up on our teams in 2019 and probably forever.
This is how we bond.
It really is. And we're going to add their current ESPN PPR rank in parentheses just so you know how spicy some of these takes are. Number 1. Actually, let's start first. 2 guys that are skating on thin ice, dangerously close to joining this list. They're not on it,
break,
but they're dangerously close. Dalvin Cook and Emmanuel Sanders. Dalvin Cook, for obvious reasons, we had a rough year with him last year. We both owned him. We're willing to give him a second chance this year because he looked great at the end of last year. And Emmanuel Sanders, who was like patient zero on this list.
Yeah.
He finally clawed his way through the ice to emerge into the cold Arctic air of the shit list, and he survived.
Did he?
The gauntlet. To me, he's a guy that he survived. Based on what he did last year, I'm not like thrilled about him, but I don't hate him like I do these other guys.
All right.
That's why he's getting close. I mean, he's skating on thin ice.
He's halfway in the lake for me right now. He's got in there.
Like, the seals are like circling, waiting for him.
Yeah. The orcas are. I don't know what lake has orcas, but they're there.
Well, I mean, thin ice is everywhere these days. Hashtag climate change. So let's look at the official shit list. These are guys. Right now, it's all running backs, which is it lets you know how important that position is to us. First guy, Lenny Fournette.
Lenny.
He is right now going 24th overall this year. So this is probably our spiciest take. He's running back 13 in PPR for ESPN ranking right now. I don't have much to say. I've never owned him and never will. He just does not seem like a lot of fun. Let's just throw that out.
He's not. I've owned him and never again. So, and even his rookie year that everyone was touting him for wasn't. I mean, for a rookie it was impressive, but like fantasy purposes, it wasn't all that impressive. He's not a pass catcher. That team is going to be brutal. So no.
And he's always hurt, and he just seems kind of annoying. Just throwing it out there, Lenny.
Yeah,
sorry. Don't hurt us. Kenyon Drake has been hashtag canceled. We don't really need to talk about him that much. He's on the shit list. Lamar Miller. It seems like it was only yesterday he was going in like round 2 of fantasy drafts, and that was probably the year that broke the camel's back right there. Lamar Miller.
That was 3 years ago for me, 4 years ago for me. I actually took him in round 1.
Oh my god.
And then I took AJ Green because I had 10 and 11. I took AJ Green right after that, and that was one of the years. Again, big surprise that AJ Green was hurt for like half the year.
Maybe he's in that Dalvin Cook range, I think, too. AJ Green.
Honestly, yeah, he's up there for me.
Okay,
Sanders is already in there. Green's on there.
All right. So Sanders is half in now because he's on yours, and he's not yet on mine, but he's getting close. These next 3 running backs, Jordan Howard, Peyton Barber, LaShawn McCoy, I will never own one of these players. They're not very good. Their teams aren't very good, outside of Jordan Howard, obviously. But those 3 guys are they're the definition of below average, and that's not what you want in fantasy football. Those guys have burned me before. LaShawn McCoy last year, Jordan Howard a couple years ago. Not a big fan of either of these guys, or all 3 of these guys. So that's our shit list so far. It's only 6 names deep, but it will certainly grow throughout 2019.
Oh, yeah. Can't wait.
And just like that, the preseason is over.
Week 0.
It's time. Week 0.
Put that in the... I'm glad you put that in the ether.
Where did that come from? I'm very happy we have it now, but I don't know where that came from.
Week 0 is for the ethers. Ethers are for the week 0. I think we're going crazy.
Yeah,
regular season. Hurry up.
I need to go eat some salsa and get ready for some football because my mind is a pretzel right now.
Or it's a tortilla chip.
Oh my god!
Scooped
I'm gonna go eat some Taco Bell.
Whole wheat tortilla chip.
My mine's a Crunchwrap Supreme. It's got many layers.
What would our minds be? So yours would be a Crunchwrap Supreme. Mine would be a. I don't even know.
Meatball.
A slice of Papa John's pizza because it doesn't
soft
work
pretzel.
Right now.
Soft
pretzel. Sounds right.
Sean's would be a 10-layered deep pepperoni slice.
Oh man, I'm surprised you're with us today after eating that. I'm very proud of you for surviving that slice of pizza.
The gauntlet
Thanks.
of pepperoni.
It took a lot of training.
I mean, weaker men than you would not have come back from that. So
I just want to say that, Rob, you had that vegan phase, and then you had the all meat phase.
Yes.
So I think we're back on that train a little bit.
I try to balance myself out. You know, you got to try everything.
Well, that makes sense. Or you can just have a balanced meal every day.
Yeah.
With
Well, that's
meat
what
and
I do
veggies.
now.
What would be
Found
the
my balance.
wildest phase for Rob to have as far as his diet goes? Scott, what do you think? I have
no
the
air phase.
I have the
Soylent?
answer. I have the answer.
Were you going to say
Anti-air.
No, I was going to say that. I was going to say all live foods. Like, I can't even think of an example. Like you know how when you bring a lobster home for like a lobster bake, like it's still crawling around your backyard, and you gotta like either kill it or drop it in the pot. Like Rob, like super sustainable cooking. Rob only eats animals that he's prepared himself, and prepared has a very dark context there. I don't know. This just shows you how much of a pretzel my mind is right now.
Maybe
Some
like
weird places.
Maybe he's like a Native American and uses every single part of the animal too.
Yes.
I become anti-resource and I wear no clothes. I don't live in a house. I move into the woods and I just eat sticks and leaves.
I'm gonna say like if Rob becomes a pie guy, like makes his own pies, like forages for peaches somewhere,
Boysenberries. Yeah.
Oh, I could do
boysenberries,
that.
and then he's like, "Hey guys, I made this like boysenberry apple peach cobbler pie."
Sounds great.
It does sound great.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah, I wish for that. I hope for that.
I think Taco Bell should add that to their menu.
That particular pie, I like that.
Yeah.
Let's make it
Heard it
happen.
here first.
But make it like an empanada.
Yo quiero
Wow.
that. Wow.
Yeah. I actually just came up with a good idea. Taco Bell. Live Mas.
I just quiero that pie.
I just quiero it. Well, see you later.
See you later.